Newsmax and One American News Network are incredible. They're amazing. It's like, it's like watching some sort of science experiment if you spend a little bit of time seeing what they're up to. So the new clip that went viral, this one is Newsmax, although One American News Network does, pretty much the same thing or very similar things. But this clip from Newsmax might actually, this is a bold call, but I'll make it anyway. This clip from Newsmax might be one of the most interesting and hilarious in Biden's entire first term. I know that's a bold claim because it just started, but it doesn't get any goofier than this. Look at the kind of criticism they decided to use against him.
Did you see the dog? I want to show you something I noticed. Doesn't he look a little rough? I love dogs, but this dog needs a bath and a comb and all kinds of love and care. I've never seen a dog in the White House like this. I remember Buddy, I remember Millie, I remember lots of dogs, but not a dog who seems, I don't know how much love and care he is getting. Let's bring in the historians. I'm having fun with this, obviously, but I do want to talk about some stuff. Craig Shirley, Reagan biographer, presidential historian. Craig, welcome back. And Doug Weed, presidential historian, former advisor to George H.W. Bush. That's the White House where I remember Millie. Millie had like a staff, and they really took care of her. Very beautiful dog. This dog looks like from the junkyard. And I love that dog, but he looks like he's not been well cared for.
No, not at all. Thank you for having us. No, he looks very dirty and disheveled and very unlike a presidential dog like Millie or Victory or something else in the past in the White House.
What do you even say about that? I was willing to give it a pass if it was just a throwaway comment. It still would have been ridiculous if it was a throwaway comment. But I was willing to give it a pass if it was just off the top of the head, you're talking about something else, and you just sort of throw it out there and move on. Dog, no pun intended, dog. They did a segment on it. They brought on experts. They brought on historians to be like, yeah, I happen to know quite a bit about history because I'm a historian, and I will say that this dog is worse than all the other presidential dogs. This is not a very presidential dog, if you ask me. So you need to understand that before this segment happened, they, in show prep, and when they were listing what they're going to do, they had to have it written down, segment on Biden's dog. The whole point of the segment was to bash Joe Biden and his dog and use this as some sort of an argument as to why Biden and the Democrats are bad. And you heard what they said. Doesn't he look a little rough? He needs a bath and a comb and love and care. He looks like he's from the junkyard. He's not well cared for. It's an unpresidential dog. The dog does not look very presidential. See, what this reminds me of is when Sean Hannity criticized Barack Obama because he had a burger with mustard. Or the time that Barack and Michelle did a pound and one of the idiots on Fox News called it a terrorist fist jab. That one was probably even worse, to be fair, because there's gross, bigoted undertones and overtones, actually, is probably the better way to describe it. But, this is right-wing media in a nutshell. That's what I need everybody to understand, is that it's one thing to have a criticism and it's a swing and a miss. It happens to everybody. Doesn't matter where you fall ideologically. It's a whole other thing to perpetually make the dumbest, silliest criticisms, to not have a real argument against Biden. And there are plenty of real arguments against Biden. But see, the problem for right-wing media is that all of those arguments come from Biden's left, because Biden is functionally a moderate Republican. So if you want to criticize him in a way that makes sense, You have to go after him for supporting various outsourcing deals, supporting the war in Iraq, supporting the Patriot Act. You know, this is the substance of an anti-Biden criticism. But if you're not going to go at it from that perspective, I mean, what's left? What's left is to say, hey man, I know you're hawkish, you should be even more hawkish. Hey man, you should cut taxes for the rich even more. Hey, your dog looks like shit. So maybe you should get a prettier dog or something, bro. Maybe you should eat a burger without mustard like a real man. Again, that was the Obama criticism. It shows you their mindset. The mindset is, it literally doesn't matter what Biden does. They're going to criticize him. You know, the best example of this was Obamacare. You guys all know this, but a lot of people don't know this. Obamacare, the idea behind Obamacare is what's called an individual mandate system. And the individual mandate system is actually a conservative idea. It was birthed by right-wing think tanks. You know, the Heritage Foundation was one of the original outlets that wrote a policy paper on it. This is a policy that was at one point supported by people as far right as Newt Gingrich and Chuck Grassley. And the idea was, this is our reform, and it's separate from single-payer healthcare. It's separate from the government playing a more direct role, either with insurance or with care. So they wanted to keep everything in the private market. This is how you keep it in the private market. So it was a right-wing idea. They all supported it. And then when Obama came out for it, all of them ran away from it. They literally got 0 Republican votes for something that was their own idea. That tells you everything you need to know about these people, both the Republican politicians and also right-wing media, because they'll never give you that information. They'll never give you that context. All they know is close-minded partisan drivel, and that's what this is. I mean, seriously, they're shitting on his dog. His dog! And it's so, like, you could sense how vituperative it is and how much... Well, actually, you know, maybe that's not true. That's an interesting question. Do you get the sense it is completely and utterly put on, like this guy Greg Kelly, hilarious, 2 first name wonder, like he's just acting? Because I could see that a little bit. If somebody says, yeah, this guy's just a fucking actor, look at what he's doing. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that he doesn't mean a goddamn word of it. Or the other option is he really does have those partisan blinders on, and he chugged the Kool-Aid a long time ago, and so he really believes that anything he says against Biden is like, you know, ends justify the means. These guys are bad, these guys are evil, so I'll say whatever the hell I have to say to portray them in a negative light, even if I look ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't know if he's just an actor, or if he actually believes it, or if it's some mix thereof. But listen, you thought it couldn't get sillier than like Fox News, but Newsmax and One American News Network are trying really, really, really hard to carve out that space for themselves. And this is what happens when their original explosion in popularity was what? Was when Fox News refused to go along with the Stop the Steal conspiracies that had 0 evidence for it. They knew Joe Biden won. They knew he was going to be inaugurated. They couldn't bring themselves to go down that ridiculous a path, even though they've gone down other very ridiculous paths. And so that's when One American News Network and Newsmax exploded in popularity. And, you know, all these people on the far right thought, I can't even trust Fox News anymore because they're not telling me the truth. And so people turn to these fringe networks, and this is what you get. Now they can't go all in on the Stop the Steal nonsense every day because Biden's already inaugurated. So what do? You have to fill the airwaves with more like Democrats are really bad nonsense, and they don't do policy criticism, so this is what you're left with. This is what you're left with. You're left with shitting on a frickin' dog. I mean, it's hilarious, but it also shows how poisoned and toxic our politics are and how hyper-partisan things can be. And, you know, I hope that this is one of those segments that's so over the top and so silly that it even has the potential to take people who are maybe, you know, moderate fence sitters, and they look at this and they go, I don't want to be with these people. These people are too silly. I just can't do it. So that's yet to be seen, but I don't know if they could top this. I want to say expect more stuff like this, but this really might be one of the top moments of Biden's first term. But having said that, who knows? Maybe they'll come up with an even goofier criticism. We'll have to wait and see.